Well, yesterday was a doozy, a real doozy. We had the release of Kingdom Hearts, and boy, oh boy, was it fun. Also, in the mail, I got this little guy, and I have been recently playing Street Fighter 6. This is the demo, as you can get the demo for free, but today isn't about Street Fighter 6. It is about Kingdom Hearts, and I want to go through my first impressions of using the game or playing the game on Steam and the Steam Deck, as well as some of the settings that I think are necessary to get the best experience. First off, it plays and runs phenomenally. I played last night for I played for I think 3 hours or just over 3 hours. I played it in docked mode. So if you want to see that, the stream is going to be linked at the end. I do not have any monetization on that stream because the beautiful, wonderful song, which I freaking moshed out to in the background while it was going, is copyright protected. So my whole stream got copyright claimed or whatever. I didn't get in trouble, but it was you can't make any money off this. So you'll hear me talking about channel memberships, which if you want to do that, you can do that. I'll talk about that a little bit later. At any rate, the game itself was played on a TV. So my experience is actually a docked mode on a 4K LG C2 42-inch. Now, or 43-inch. I always forget which one it is, a 42 or 43. I do not recommend playing using the LG C2 42 or 43-inch as close as I've been doing it because it was a little nauseating at times, but that's more of a practical problem, I think. As this evening transpired, we had a blast, a lot of fun. The stream was a good amount of fun. I made a promise. I said, if you can get me to 100 viewers, which there were 100 viewers while I was freaking moshing in the background, then I will do the whole Kingdom Hearts stream on YouTube. And then if we could get 10 new dads, which we got 12, which is the name of our channel members, I will permanently come back and do all of my streams on YouTube. And I explained it in there, and I'm not going to go into that too much here. And we did it. So these streams will be here back by popular demand. So that's what we're going to do. Continuing it on the settings stuff. So there are a few things you're going to notice when you first start to get into this. You're going to have a couple settings you want to do. One, I would play on 720p, not 800, because with 800, you're going to end up getting a little bit of a interesting, top bars. It stretches it a little bit. I didn't love that when I was testing it, so I played on full screen mode. And 720p. Now at 720. At 720 full screen, you're gonna get perfect handheld settings, which is what I tried, and it looked great. And then also when you're using a TV, it's gonna scale better. And for me, that was what I was more looking for. Now that's just the basic settings. It runs so well. And so we're talking about Kingdom Hearts 1. I haven't played any of the other Kingdom Hearts. You can purchase the whole collection right now for $68 or $69. Crazy. That's crazy that you can purchase it for that much. So many games. Kingdom Hearts 1 at 720p, you can unlock the frames. You're gonna get between 110 to 120. All cutscenes are 30 frames per second. All rendered cutscenes are 30 frames per second. All transitional cutscenes are 30 frames per second. So anytime you see some sort of cutscene, you're going to drop down to 30 frames per second, which can feel a little jarring, but don't fret. That is exactly what it's supposed to be. You're not dropping frames or anything. And then while you're playing the game, you're going to get that 111 to 120. You can lock it. Now, if you're playing on the Steam Deck, you can just open it up to unlocked or something, and then go and get 90 frames per second the whole time. That is pretty much what I would do. But if you're plugged into your TV, I have a 120 hertz TV, it pushes 120 hertz. I was getting that. Now I can drop the resolution in the resolution tab on settings so that it only pushes out a 60 frames per second situation. And if I was to do that, I probably would get a little bit more stability in that, but I wanted to see what's the max I can push this, especially with Kingdom Hearts 1, a game that's like 20 years old. I mean, granted, the re-release has come out multiple times and they reworked this one, but I wanted to see what's the maximum. Ooh, smoke today. I like that. What's the maximum I could go with pushing the limits? Now, if a couple cool settings I would do on your Steam Deck, if you're going to be running this on docked mode, is one, I would be using 1440p, so pushes the scaling to 1440p in your settings, and then either 60 or 120 frames per second, depending on your TV. Probably 60 is going to be fine. The reason for that is if you have a 4K TV, 1440p would be half, and then if you have half that, then you're going to be pushing out a 720p image from the deck itself. It's going to scale well. So that's 720 to 1440p and then 1440p to 4K. It just scales better that way. Trying to push a 4K image out of this, because it'll say you have 4K 60 or whatever, is just going to be demanding and it doesn't scale well. Now, when I was playing it on the TV itself, I'm using, as I said, an OLED TV, a 4K OLED TV. I am close to the TV. It doesn't leave anything to the imagination. It wasn't absolutely perfect. Yes, there were some moments where I was like, okay, the image does look a little bit sloppy, just a little bit. And I'm comparing that to a PS5 version of the game. And so when I was experiencing it, I could tell there was a little bit of a scaling situation here. Now, when I say little bit, I mean I was trying to find it. If I didn't sit there and be like, okay, let's get really critical on this because I make YouTube videos, there's no way. There's no way I would have seen it. It would have been totally fine. I wouldn't have dealt with it whatsoever. So that in and of itself is not really an issue. I was really, really impressed and ended up forgetting that I was using a Steam Deck 20 minutes into the gameplay because I decided that I wasn't going to use an 8-bit DOE controller. Rather, I was going to use a PlayStation 5 controller, which is another thing, another setting that I would look into is picking the right controller for you. I am a huge PlayStation fan when it comes to the controller output, the controller layout. All these games, the Kingdom Hearts games, I experienced for the first time on PlayStation, or I guess Game Boy as well. And so seeing square, circle, X, triangle is something that I want to see. I know it seems like such a silly thing and a nuanced thing, but for me, it's important. And so I opted to have a PlayStation 5 controller or a DualSense. Now, with the DualSense, an odd thing, and I know you can switch it, I just didn't, is the touchpad is actually the share button, and the share button's the touchpad. So when you're playing the game, it's going to say you can go into first-person mode by hitting the touchpad. You're going to pause. And so you're going to have to hit the share button. Other than that, that's the only switcheroony that you're going to have, an issue you're going to have. I was so excited to see Square trying all the stuff, and it just reminded me of days of old. Now, the thing that just blew my mind with the gaming situation is when I was done, I just picked up my I keep calling it a Switch. I picked up my Steam Deck, and I went and played natively somewhere else. It runs so clean on both handheld mode and docked mode. Now, in docked mode, it was phenomenal. And the dock that I was using was the Steam Deck dock. And for me, the Steam Deck dock does the job well, has firmware updates. That's why I used it. But I know that any other dock is going to do fine. Guys, when I say that my experience last night was incredible, I really mean it. I was not ready for such a nostalgic explosion. I've been playing this game for decades now. I've played the original, I've played the re-release, I've played the remaster, I've played the re-release again. This game is one that I've played a ton of times over, but what was exceptionally exciting was to see the excitement around the game in its release yesterday. I think that Steam as a whole, when they released this and discounted it on the first release, now it's not the cheapest version of this game. You can purchase this game cheaper. I think that they already have G2G has it cheaper. I don't use any of those sites. I just purchase off Steam. So I didn't even consider it, but I know also that the Epic Store has a cheaper version of this, which is where the original one was. For me, I just loved to see how many people were like, okay, I'm going to give it a try and play a game that has so much feeling in it. Now, some people were asking, what are some of the story beats that you're going to have to know? And I'm going to tell you right now, Kingdom Hearts has one of the most convoluted and confusing stories out of any video game I've ever played. And I love it. I love it. It's just a warm hug of a video game. And for Square Enix to release this game, I think that they are solidifying themselves in this space right now as understanding what the fans wanted. That for me means a ton, right? We see a lot of things happening in this space, in the video game space. And as a dad and a husband, you just don't want to put your money in spaces where you're going to end up being disappointed, I suppose. I'm not talking about taking any stands or making any, I'm not going to support this. But it's more rather just, I have such limited time. Why would I waste my time doing X, Y, and Z? And for this, it just out the box runs phenomenally. I would just make sure that you hit 720, not 800. And the collection is well put together. They've updated some textures. They have released it complete. And for the price of $1 less than a AAA title, it's $68.99. A nostalgic experience, hundreds of hours of fun, and a wonderful look back at what adventure RPGs were. I get no dollars from suggesting that Kingdom Hearts is a game that you pick up, but I can tell you from my experience yesterday on the Steam Deck specifically, I am so elated. I am so happy that I have this device. I know it was available on the ROG Ally. You could get it on the Epic Store. I know it was available on the Legion Go. You could get it through the Epic Store. I know all these things were available, but for me, I'm a deck daddy, and I know that you're a deck daddy too. And as deck daddies, this is pretty much what we're going to. I keep looking at this pad, and it's so sick. This little situation I'm dealing with right now is so fun. It's so fun, and it's so portable, and it's so exciting. And to have my favorite franchise of all time almost, because Zelda is number one, here in this space, in this form factor is so incredible. My excitement using a Steam Deck has been reborn. I'm not suggesting that it's the only thing ever, but when it comes to this next gen situation and the next gen gaming with PlayStation 5s and Xboxes, it's nice to know that I don't need to hold on to some of these devices that had some of my favorite titles, because we're seeing some of the biggest franchises that have released over the decades being ported over to PC more and more, being released on Steam more and more, being supported and worked on to work in this form factor and in this way more and more, so that you, the gamer, can experience things in this fashion. If you're a portable papa, if you're a deck daddy, if you're a Nintendo dad, if you're any of these, this is a really fun time to start getting into this portable gaming scene, especially if you're someone who looks back far more often than looking forward. I'm not just going to say that new games coming out aren't good, but I mean, I saw how this thing runs Elden Ring on my buddy's Steam Deck. This is a great, fun machine. And the reason why I go so hard in the paint for something like the Steam Deck over something like an Asus ROG Ally or a Lenovo Legion Go is primarily because it is going to give me the closest to a console-like experience, which is just what I'm used to. I don't necessarily think that the console experience is the best experience out there, but it's what I'm familiar with. And so if I'm going to run some of these things, I want it to run somewhat close to what I'm used to, you know? What an experience. I hope this helped you with a little bit of stuff. My excitement is to the moon and back. I'm going to be out of town for a little bit, so I won't stream next week. But when the streams happen, they're going to be in this space, and Kingdom Hearts will not be played 100% on stream. We'll be playing it off stream too. That being said, it will be played here. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. As always, happy gaming. Oh, and you cool with the mic being back? All right, later.